You're trying to rouse the troops so that people's lives will be improved, and you pick Feliz Navidad? Are you crazy? There's 7 million other holiday-themed songs that would narratively make more sense, but they just wanted to put Feliz Navidad on the album. And I'll say it, I feel like him wearing a poncho and shaking maracas is racist. I don't have proof, but it feels bad. Hi, hello, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Carly, and I figured I might as well follow up my video about Wicked with a video about Glee. When you think I'm gonna zig, I zag. You can't pin me down. I want to keep moving. I want you to constantly be guessing what my next move will be. So today I am going to be unpacking the Christmas episodes that Glee has. They have 4. Christmas episodes are kind of like a tradition of yore. They don't really exist anymore because of streaming. Because like TV used to come out like week by week, so writers would know that they would have a holiday episode. They knew that this episode would come out when Thanksgiving was happening or Halloween, or there would be holiday-centric episodes, and that just doesn't really happen anymore. In fact, most shows kind of exist in that weird like LA weather limbo where it's always just kind of like spring. We don't even get to see jackets anymore, and I think that's a shame. I like holiday episodes. I like Christmas specials. I have all the makings of a Scrooge, and yet here I am, holly jolly. And is it the very end of November? Absolutely, but I don't care. I'm in the spirit of the season, okay? It's either this or seasonal depression. So here we are. Now, the reason I want to talk about the Glee holiday episodes is because every single year, my partner has a tradition with his friends, and they will watch holiday or Christmas episodes of shows randomly. They don't have to have seen a single episode of the show. They'll just watch an out of context Christmas episode, and I joined them last year. We watched The X-Files, and it was an episode where Lily Tomlin was a ghost in a haunted house on Christmas Eve, trying to scare them away and trying to scare Mulder and Scully into thinking that they killed each other. We watched an episode of Bones where a man dressed as Santa exploded, and then a character said, "Do you ever think that these bones are actually people?" Which I just have to assume they say in every single episode of Bones. And we also watched Glee. I watched Glee growing up, and I remember the Christmas episodes being good. And then I watched this like episode with other people and was horrified. It was insane. I'm a Glee defender. Like, I'm not gonna stake my life on it, but I do think that show is good. I like Glee, but seeing it through the eyes of people who aren't accustomed to the chaos and tone of Glee, I was horrified. But it made me want to this year systematically watch all of the holiday episodes in the Glee canon and break them down. A quick disclaimer before we get started. I'm going to be saying Christmas specials. I understand that it's the holiday season. Listen, my extended family is Irish, Catholic, Jewish, and Protestant. The holiday season for me is all about everybody really trying not to mention religion so no one fights. But these episodes are Christmas episodes. Several characters are Jewish, and I think there's only one Hanukkah like storyline, and it's not even really that. Like, they have Jewish characters on Glee, but it's kind of just like, don't worry, guys, you can do Christmas too. So these are Christmas episodes. They're really not holiday episodes. There's crazy Christian undertones. We will get into it, okay? But before we get into the rest of the video, I wanted to take a quick moment and thank today's sponsor, Parade. You know, we're talking about the holidays. We're getting in the holiday spirit. It's the holiday season. Also means that it's time for Black Friday, baby. And Parade this year has 2 major sales going on. The first one is from November 21st to December 3rd. You can get 30% off site-wide. The second one is that Parade has given me a code that gets you 50% off site-wide with no minimum. If you've been here before, you know that I do truly love Parade. It's the only underwear I wear, like, no word of a lie. For a lot of my adult life, I was just like, underwear is uncomfortable. I just thought that that was like how you had to live your life, which is wild. Also, as an adult woman, I was on a quest to find underwear that wasn't like frilly or like had bows. Like, if that's for you, power to you. But I just wanted like adult woman I didn't want a little bow on the waistband. You know what I'm talking about? I just wanted like regular underwear. And Parade came in and saved me, genuinely. So let me walk you through a couple of my favorite products. First, we have my all-time favorite underwear, the Sculpt high-rise brief in 8-ball. I'm obsessed. I literally have like 16 pairs. Seamless, no panty lines, does not ride up, doesn't give you a wedgie, things don't pop out, and it's just like so comfortable, breathable. I already used my own code before making this video to buy 3 more pairs in balloon this time, which is like a beautiful red. If the Sculpt high-rise brief has 0 fans, I am dead. I'm also always on the hunt for a bra that doesn't make me want to scream my head off. I have sensory problems, and also I don't really wear bras a lot, so when I have to wear one for like society, I feel very restricted. One of my personal favorites is the Replay triangle bralette, again in 8-ball. I love this like classic black color. I just think it looks very like sexy but chic. I wore it for the entirety of filming this video. It really is the most comfortable bra I own. So if you want to be a Parade convert like me, go to the link in my description below and use the code UN-BF, like uncarley Black Friday, UN-BF, to get 50% off site-wide with no minimum. Again, go to the link in my description below, use the code UN-BF, and get 50% off site-wide. Thank you so much to Parade for sponsoring this video. Let's get back into it. I'm going to be grading each episode on a specific rubric I've made up. We'll be grading it on holiday feel. Does this episode actually feel like a holiday episode? Does it aesthetically look like it? Are the themes that? How much do they really lean into the holiday special, the Christmas special of it all? Song choices. Are the song choices good? Klaine duet. Is the duet between Kurt and Blaine a good duet? Because there is a holiday tradition where the characters of Kurt and Blaine do a Christmas or holiday themed duet. Let's rank them, you know? Camp factor. Glee walks an interesting line where sometimes they are genuinely camp and entertaining, and other times they're trying to be camp, which is not camp. You can't just be like, I'm so chaotic. Like, I obviously love Riverdale with all my heart. That show is not camp. Like, that show is trying to be camp. So it's not camp. You can still, you know, like stuff, but we're grading it on the camp scale of how unaware is it of how crazy it is. You know what I mean? And finally, offensive factor. How offensive is this episode? At the end of each episode, I will also award an episode Grinch award for the #1 villain of the episode, okay? So now let's just get into it. So the first Glee Christmas episode is a very Glee Christmas in season 2. I'll provide a bit of background for you on like what you need to know just so like the character relationships make sense, right? So Kurt has switched schools and now goes to Dalton Academy, a private school. It's an all-boys private school because he was a victim of homophobic bullying. At Dalton, he is trying to join the Warblers, the all-male a cappella troupe, and he is a crush on Blaine. In the canon at this time, Blaine is an older boy. They're now going to retcon that in the next season and make him a year younger. So at this point, I believe Blaine is like 17 canonically, and then they're going to go back next season and be like, he's 14. That doesn't matter. I just need you to know that. Brittany and Artie are dating, and Finn and Rachel were dating, but while they were together, Rachel found out that Finn, before they started dating, had sex with Santana, and this offended her really deeply because they're very different, I guess. Rachel's a lot. So she then had sex with Puck to get back at Finn, which is just cheating, first of all, and Finn's last girlfriend, Quinn, also cheated on him with Puck, and Puck is his best friend ostensibly until this happens. So it's a very triggering thing. So they're not broken up, but they're like broken up. And vibes are not great because the Glee Club just won sectionals, but nobody at school cares at all. They feel like that they're deserved respect. So the Glee Club is singing The Most Wonderful Day of the Year, which is the Island of Misfit Toys song from the claymation Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer movie classic. I watched that movie every single day from the ages of 3 to like 5. Like during July, I'd be mainlining claymation Rudolph into my veins. I rewatched it recently. That movie is so misogynist. It's actually nuts. I love it. I gave it like 5 stars on Letterboxd, but like, it's crazy. Anyways, so they're singing Island of Misfit Toys because they're an island of misfit toys. Mr. Shu is in the teacher's lounge. They pull names for Secret Santa and he gets Sue. And obviously he's pissed about that because Sue is kind of a menace, especially like season 2. Sue is peak menace behavior. Artie talks to Brittany and finds out that she still believes in Santa Claus, okay? So the Glee Club decides to kind of go along with the charade, if you will, and pretend like they all believe in Santa Claus because they want to keep the magic alive for Brittany. So they all go to the mall together and go and sit on Santa's lap and ask for different things. Brittany has an iconic line when she's talking to like an elf in line at Santa's village or whatever, and she says, "I don't understand the difference between an elf and a slave." So that's obviously a point against them for offensive matter. So they're all on Santa's lap asking for different things. And Brittany asks Santa to make Artie walk again because Artie's in a wheelchair. And the Glee Club is like, no, say no. And then Mall Santa's like, yeah, I will make your friend who is in a wheelchair walk again. There's a crazier disability storyline later, but a lot of the Glee Christmas episodes are either about poverty, homelessness, and Artie being in a wheelchair, because it's very much like, wow, you think Christmas is hard? It's probably harder for other people. And you know, this is in the 2010s, so you want to try and give it grace, but it's also like, I don't need to be lectured about a thing I know, babe. They don't know how, as the Glee Club, they're going to be able to keep the charade of Santa being alive going because they can't make Artie walk because Artie was in a car accident that paralyzed him from the waist down. Also, because Shu is in the Christmas spirit, he demands that the Glee Club go caroling from classroom to classroom to raise money for people experiencing homelessness. He is setting these kids up to be executed at the guillotine, basically, because he has them going classroom to classroom in a school that hates them already, but they're singing "We Need a Little Christmas" right this very minute, and they're bobbing. And they're wearing like little matching cardigans. Like, Shu wants them dead. Why would he ever think this is a good idea? While they're caroling, a teacher throws her shoe at them, like the Iraqi journalist who threw his shoe at George Bush. I don't know if that's what they're referencing. It's a funny image just to see a woman throwing a shoe at children. We have to admit this. Also, Rachel sings "Merry Christmas, Darling" in the auditorium with a winter scene while snow falls. This is a high school, but go off. This is an apology to Finn, basically being like, let's get back together. It's time to forgive me. She does say, it's time to forgive me, which is how you apologize. You say, I'm so sorry, but it's time to forgive me. Stop fucking complaining. Like, let's just forgive me already. And Finn's obviously like, no, I'm not going to forgive you, cheated on me, and leaves. Then we cut to Dalton, where Kurt is studying in the student lounge. I don't know. And Blaine comes in to ask Kurt to help him practice for like a community holiday show he's in. He says, "I'm the ghost of Marley, and I'm here to tell you to stop studying," which is really fucking funny because it's not actually what Marley does at all in A Christmas Carol. And if you actually read the text of A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, you would know that Marley is not there to remind Ebenezer Scrooge to stop doing homework or even to stop working. He's actually just telling him that if he's evil, he's gonna get chains on him in hell. So it's not actually very funny, is it? So they sing "Baby It's Cold Outside." This duet, it rips. It's awesome. Is the song just maybe the dictionary definition of culture? Absolutely. It's a duet, if you don't know, between a man and a woman, and the woman's like, "I really can't stay," and the man's like, "Baby, it's cold outside." And it's played very much like she's not locked in the house. It's very much played as like a coy, like, "Oh, I've gotta go, but I wish I could stay." But like in our culture where nobody has any room for nuance, people are just gonna listen to that and be like, "I should lock my girlfriend in the basement if she says she wants to go home." And there have been a lot of efforts to modernize this song. There's a horrible modernization with John Legend, I think. The woman is like, "I really can't stay," and he's like, "Let me call you an Uber." It's horrible. Like, hearing that, I understand that we are trying to just like do better as a society, but it like makes me feel momentarily Republican. You know what I mean? I actually think a duet of this song between two men doesn't fix the overall campy vibes of it, but there is at least you're not listening to the song and like picturing a big man blocking the door from a little woman, you know? Like, I think it's easier to try and sell the undertone of like, oh, I want to leave, but I really shouldn't, you know? Because you're like, well, at least they're both physically equally strong. You know, he's not going to try and physically overpower her. And the song itself is being sung like in the study hall student council lounge. I didn't go to a boarding school. I don't know what this is. Maybe if they sang it in like the dorm room, you'd be like, ew. But it feels good. I like this. I think it's a good duet. So Blaine leaves and is like, the girl's not gonna, that I have to sing that with is not going to be as good as you, which implies that there's a community kind of theater holiday review where two teenagers are singing Baby It's Cold Outside, which is horrific. But anyways, he leaves, and then Mr. Shu just walks into the study hall and is like, hey, and it's like, bitch, why are you at this child's school? You're gonna go to jail. And Kurt's like, what are you doing here, Mr. Shu? And he's like, oh, well, you're just so good at shopping because you're gay, you know, and you love to shop because you know you're gay. So I don't know what to get Sue for Christmas for Secret Santa, can you help me? It's a funny, he doesn't say because you're gay, but it is a funny thing to be like, I'm here because you love to shop. And Kurt's character does love to shop. So if you are a Glee fan, you can receive that information and understand it in universe. But if you have never seen Glee, it just seems like this random teacher is showing up to a student's residence unannounced to microaggression him. Anyways, Kurt buys Sue a fur-lined tracksuit, which is funny and I think a good gift for Sue. But the teachers all find out that Sue actually rigged Secret Santa so that everybody got her. She replaced like all the slips with her name. And they get really mad and take all their gifts back and are like, oh, we'll put them under the Christmas tree in the choir room before we donate all these gifts to the homeless, which is a weird plan, but okay. And Sue goes full Grinch mode and plans to steal the presents back. So she goes, Becky, go to the glove box of my car and get my tear gas. Very funny, good line, I like it. Sue sings You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch in full Grinch regalia and destroys the choir room, gets rid of all of the decorations, steals the presents back with Becky like on a sleigh in the middle of the night. Brittany sees it and Sue is like, I'm Santa, don't worry about it, ha 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 ha. The next day, everybody goes into the choir room and sees that it's destroyed and morale is low, which is fair. So Finn and Rachel, as the leaders of the Glee Club, go out to buy them a new Christmas tree to try and make people less depressed. And Rachel sings Last Christmas. Girl, you cheated on him. You cheated on him, girl. Okay, be so real. So they sing Last Christmas, they kiss, and she says, last Christmas, I asked Santa to bring me you, and canonically, you are Jewish, so no, you didn't. She asks Finn to forgive her again. Finn says no, and they break up for good. We cut back to the Glee Club, and they're in the choir room, and they're trying to do Gift of the Magi. I don't know if you know that. Is it a fable? So that they can donate. They have stuff to donate to the shelter. The Gift of the Magi is like this couple is poor and they want to get something for Christmas. So the woman cuts off all her hair and the man sells his watch and then they buy their gifts for each other. But like their gifts are canceled out because the other person got rid of their thing. Like, I don't remember what she got him, some kind of watch accessory, I guess. And he got her like a fancy comb, but she's like, I don't have any hair because I cut it off to get you your fancy watch thing. And he's like, well, I don't have my watch anymore because I got rid of it to give you your comb. So they're going to do that. And she was like, for sure don't. The message of that is that it's bad. So instead they decide to carol in the teacher's lounge and they sing the like Grinch Who song. They're like, da who dores, welcome Christmas. And Sue is moved by this, that the Glee Club, much like in The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, they don't need all of their items and their materials. They have Christmas spirit and it can't be broken. And all of the public school teachers start donating money. And I keep being like, girl, why do you have to carol in the school? Is this like a law? Because I feel like these public school teachers don't have a lot to give. Fair enough. Society doesn't value teachers the way that like they should, but they're not making six figures. So like maybe let's carol at the mall or anywhere else to get more money. So they sing this song and Sue is very moved by this. It's a great, it's like a narrative climax. And the Glee Christmas episodes have a really interesting pattern of like, they hit this really amazing climax That's disgusting. I don't know how to say that in a way that's not so gross. But they hit this like crescendo of like narrative tension, and it feels like the end. They have this like epic song, and then there's just like 10 minutes left of the episode where they like lose all the goodwill and it just peters out. So you're like, oh, this should end with like the Glee Club singing the Who song from The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, and then Sue is moved by this and she donates all the stuff, and then it's over, right? But no, we have to resolve the Artie can't walk and Santa can't make Artie walk storyline. So Coach Beast dresses up like Santa, goes to Brittany's house and is like, hey, I'm Santa. I can't make your friend walk. Like, I can't do that. And this really bums Brittany out. She kind of stops believing in the magic of Christmas. But because Sue is Grinch, but her heart grew 3 sizes that day, she buys Artie these robot legs. He can latch to the side of his legs and it can help him retrain his muscles to maybe walk. She also replaces all of the gifts and breaks into Will's house and gives him a real Christmas because his wife left him with like a Christmas tree. And she's like, by the way, the Glee Club's here. And Rachel's like, no one should be alone on Christmas. And it's like, maybe your teacher should. Like, why the boundaries? Why is Coach Beast in Brittany's house unchaperoned? Why is Sue skulking the grounds of Dalton to say a homophobic microaggression to his former student? And why is the entirety of the Glee Club, why did their parents allow them to go to their choir teacher's house on Christmas Eve because he's a sad divorced man? No. And that's the end of for the first episode. Sorry, it's so hot in here. I had to abandon the holiday sweater so quickly. So let's grade a very Glee Christmas. On holiday feel, I would say it's mid. There's not a lot of like decorations, or the Christmas tree farm is kind of the only like really holiday feeling setting. They're mainly at school, which is like fine. It just doesn't feel like a Christmas episode in the same way that we'll get to later. The song choices, I will say, are good. There's no like massive bangers really. I mean, I like Baby It's Cold Outside, but there's also nothing horrible, and all of the songs like narratively make sense. You know what I mean? There's no like, well, why are you singing that? Because later when the Christmas album from this episode does well, they just start releasing Glee Christmas albums, and they just want to like sing a random song, so they like pinhole it into the narrative so that they can release it on the album. But that hasn't happened yet. Everything feels like it makes sense for the actual episode. The Klaine duet is good. This is the second best Klaine duet. Baby It's Cold Outside, it's a classic. I think Blaine and Kurt's voices go together really well, and when it's more like classic songs, it really works. So I like it. The camp factor is low because nothing really super camp happens besides Sue going full Grinch mode, which I have to give flowers for. Very funny. Anytime they give Jane Lynch anything fun to do, I can't complain, you know? Offensive factor is also fairly low considering where we go from here. Only a couple of little offensive moments. And the episode Grinch Award was Will Schuester for going to Dalton to hate crime Kurt and then forcing all of his students to spend Christmas Eve with him. Like, yeah, Sue destroyed the choir room, but she seems to have boundaries, right? Going on to the next episode. An Extraordinary Glee Christmas. This is in season 3. So we're, next season. You've only missed a year. Here's what the context that you need to get you up to speed. Rachel and Finn are back together. Kurt and Blaine are dating, and they're now at McKinley. And we have a couple of new transfer students, but the only one you really need to know is Rory. His whole personality is basically Irish. I don't say that to be offensive. This character has no traits other than being Irish. No traits. The actor who plays Rory won the Glee project, so they had to like write a story for him to kind of pigeonhole him in. He's a wonderful singer. He's got a very smooth, lovely voice. While we were watching this, my sister went, his Irish accent is so bad. And he is just actually Irish, which was funny to me. Just like to be like, oh my God, I don't believe that accent for a second, and he is actually Irish. So of course we open again on the Glee Club decorating the choir room while Mercedes rips on All I Want for Christmas Is You. Epic place to start. I'm absolutely motherfucking bought in. I think All I Want for Christmas Is You is a hard song to sing better than Mariah Carey. Fair, but Amber Riley is such a good singer, and she adds so much energy. Vocalist of a lifetime. Really good rendition. We're off to a very strong start. So Sue, now that she's no longer a Grinch and is good, recruits Artie, Kurt, and Blaine to her office and is basically like, I know, as you all know, I'm good now. And she wants the Glee Club to come with her and carol at a homeless shelter while also like giving out food. When she's calling them in, she goes, wheels, porcelain, other gay. Very genuinely offensive, but very funny. The Glee Club agrees to do this. Okay, so the Glee Club is like, Christmas Eve, we are going to the shelter and we are giving back for Christmas. Finn and Rachel are together and deciding what to get each other for Christmas. Again, Rachel is Jewish, but this show is not interested in engaging with that in any meaningful way. I literally don't think there is a menorah at all. So love that. I mean, and every other religion besides Christianity is not represented at all. So go off, I guess. So Rachel gives Finn a big list and says, I want 5 things off this list. And Finn's like, I don't know if I can afford that. And she's like, well, I want expensive things to know that I am valued. And girl, I have not forgotten that just last Christmas, you literally sang Last Christmas because you cheated. Like, you are on thin ice. You can't afford to be this picky. They go to the choir room. Rory sings Blue Christmas by Elvis Presley because he misses his family and he can't go back home to Ireland this year. While I was watching this, I thought it was weird that this random American high school has like an Irish exchange student. But then I remembered that my random suburban Canadian high school had a French exchange student. So like, checkmate, Glee. I guess you got me there. Why did we have a French exchange student? We didn't have a French immersion program. Why was he there? That makes no sense. So Sam offers to show Rory an American Christmas and be his Christmas guide so he can like feel welcome and warm while being alone here on Christmas. We literally like never see this, so don't get attached to that storyline. It's just implied that off screen, Sam is like, let's do Christmas things, okay? After this, Shu bursts into the choir room and announces that the local TV station has lost the rights to the Yule log, like the concept of the Yule log, which is funny. So now the studio executives have agreed to let Artie direct a Christmas special featuring the Glee Club on like local TV. Okay, but it has to be a live special and it has to be on Christmas Eve when the Glee Club is already scheduled to go carol at the shelter, right? The Glee Club has to decide whether or not they're going to carol at the crisis center. They call it like a crazy thing. So let me look up like, what do we call? Because Google has added AI to it, it's actually unusable, so we'll literally never know what the correct term for homeless shelter is. So I'm just gonna say, I know we don't say homeless, so I will say shelter, and we will all know what I mean. So Sue is mad because the Glee Club has basically all unilaterally decided to perform on TV instead of caroling for those in need. And I think this is valid. I think her being upset is fair. It's annoying. She got to them first. They're scheduled in. Do the right thing. It's local TV. Like, you're fine. And I also think that like the Glee Club, and again, they're fictional characters, so it's fine, but you can see them like, they'll slip into very easily this kind of rhetoric of like, oppression only matters when it's happening to me, where it's like, girl, these people need you. And all you guys do is complain about being victims. So like, maybe you could help a bit. Okay? The TV special that Artie is directing is in black and white. It's reminiscent of like what I would assume to be like 1950s classic holiday specials, right? So they're in like a house, like an old timey house, but not like a Victorian house, but like a 1950s house. And like guests are dropping by and whatever. It's also Star Wars themed. I do agree with this because Artie says that Star Wars feels like Christmas, and I agree. I'm there. I'm there. I get the vibe. I see the vision. It's here that they also offhandedly explain that the robot legs that Sue bought Artie last year broke the next day and don't work. So great, undercut that narrative beat, but I guess that makes sense. Rachel sings River by Joni Mitchell as her kind of audition piece to get into the Christmas special, and Artie says it's too sad. And the kind of theme of this episode is like, Christmas can be sad, and I don't hate that. I actually think that's kind of interesting. Also, River by Joni Mitchell. Such a good Christmas song. I love that song. So because it's too sad, Rachel gets with Blaine and they do a duet for Extraordinary Merry Christmas. And this song This fucking song. Will it be the end of me? I hate, not the regular song. I don't really know the regular song. This rendition of the song is horrific. It's so like, there's like certain quality to the production of Glee songs, how they sound very like flat and overproduced. It sounds like that. There's no like emotion in it. And I think happiness is an emotion. It just sounds very like flat and devoid. Maybe that's the point, but the episode is named after this song. It's hard. I hate it. I hate it. Rachel is like singing with her hands the way she does, and Blaine has his hands by his side and is like doing little hops. It's awful. I hate this song with a passion. I think that this episode is some of the best song selection of the 4 episodes, and I have to dock points for how horrific this song is. It just sucks. So Artie casts them after seeing this, because I guess it was so offensive to his eyes, he had a momentary stroke, and he casts Blaine and Rachel in the holiday special. He also casts Kurt, Mercedes, Puck, Finn, Santana, and Brittany. So most of the heavy hitters of the Glee Club are gone. Like, really, at this point, you have, I mean, Quinn is not. Quinn and Sam are committed to charity because they're Christian. And I mean, hey, I read a statistic earlier this year that talks about how, like, left-leaning people in major cities do way less charity or donate than any other group of people, and I agree with that. So, hey, this holiday season, get out there. If you can, donate, because truly, Christians have us beat. Church activities, you know what I mean? Like, hey, credit where credit is due. So all of the heavy hitters are gone. Rory also abandons Sam and chooses to do the holiday special. He's going to come in at the very end and read Frosty the Snowman, but a happier version where Frosty doesn't die at the end. Because again, this is all about like the sad, real realities of Christmas versus a sanitized, happy version, okay? So now we cut to the special. It's the 1950s kind of vibe. It's in black and white. Kurt and Blaine are welcoming us into their home. Don't know where the sets are coming from, where the money is coming from, but okay. And they're basically like, it's Christmas, but it's really snowing outside. I wonder if any of our guests will come. And there's jokes being like, I think Kurt is trying to buy like, is it Angela Lansbury's necklace off of eBay? And there's jokes of them being like, we're roommates. Tonally, it's a big swing, and I have to respect that. Like, I do have to respect the ambition of this episode. Also, Chris Colfer is just a star. Like, he's just so good. And you really see that in this episode where like some of the other actors who are still very talented kind of like fade into the background with this. It's tougher material because it's very like genre heavy, and he just absolutely like bats it out of the park. There's such an urgency and like an energy to how he performs, and he's so funny. I just love him. He's just so good in this. I find that this portion of the episode really drags the Christmas special because like it's not in canon, so you don't really care. Like, the characters are playing versions of themselves, so there's no real weight to the actual story, so it's hard to care, so it drags. But he is just so good. Klain duets to open up the special. They sing Let It Snow. We'll get to that in the grading rubric, I guess. Mercedes and Rachel drops by and they sing My Favorite Things from The Sound of Music. It's a duet, but spiritually, it feels like a Mercedes solo. She's so good. Then the Cheerios and Brittany come in and sing Christmas Rapping, and it rocks. It's just a very high energy kind of dance number. This song is great. No notes on this. Then Puck and Finn come in and they're dressed as Han and Luke because Star Wars, and sing Santa Claus is Coming to Town. And then Rory comes in and he's gonna read Frosty, but instead he reads the Bible verse that they read at the end of the Charlie Brown Christmas. It's like the Bible verse about Jesus being born, being like, oh, and the Savior of Bethlehem. I don't know, Christians are mad at me, but and they're all like, whoa, he's going off script, but then they're really moved by like the true meaning of Christmas, and they pack it up and decide to make it to the shelter as fast as they can. Then we cut to the shelter where Sam and Quinn are serving people food, and they're like, I don't know if we're gonna have enough food. And then Sue just says, yeah, times get tough, so people donate less. You're like, Jesus Christ, that's depressing. The club shows up with the food props, which are like which is like turkey and stuff, and they're edible food, so they bring more food so that there's enough food for everybody. And then they sing Band-Aids, Do They Know It's Christmas Time at All. I could talk about this song for the rest of my life. It is so offensive. It genuinely makes me cackle. And it's like offensive in the way of like, it's not all right, but it's not so offensive. It's like offensive in an 80s kind of way of like, they didn't know better. These are people who genuinely think this is helpful. If you don't know what Band-Aids Do They Know It's Christmas Time at all, it's like a song that's like a We Are the World style song where they got a bunch of famous people from the 80s to sing different parts of the song. And I believe it was for famine relief in parts of Africa, but it's so white saviory where it's like all of Africa is desolate, by the way, and it's not because of colonialism, so don't even say that. It's a desolate desert and nothing ever grows there, and it's not, we had nothing to do with it, but we need to help, so don't even worry. There's nothing systematic going on here at all. Like, some of the lyrics include, there won't be snow in Africa this Christmas time. The greatest gift they'll get this year is life. I bet you feel pretty silly for being merry now, because the greatest gift they'll get this year is life. The Christmas bells that ring there are the clanging chimes of doom. Like, I could do a whole video on this. I won't. But I think about Band-Aids Do They Know It's Christmas Time at all? It's the funniest thing ever. It's like a white person took one pass at the lyrics and went, actually, I think this rocks. Let's go. So they sing Do They Know It's Christmas Time at All at the shelter. And again, the thematic point of this is like, listen, Christmas can actually be really tough out there, right? But they're all like singing this song about famine, like with the brightest smiles on, like just like the only bells that ring there are the clanging chimes of doom, like bro. And Santana is doing runs on the song that's horrible, like Africa, Africa, but I guess it's about the vibe. Okay? But the Santana runs are wild. No snow, no snow. Insane. It's not that I was expecting like amazing representation from Glee. Like, I really wasn't. But this singing the song with the biggest smiles on is wild. And there's no like, and I get it, they explored a little bit with Sam's character, but like there's no exploration on like the experience of somebody who is without house, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, these people are so noble and they're not mad at all, and they shouldn't be mad, but they're not mad at all. And no system failed them. It's not a systematic they're so noble. And also, if you really think about it, some people who might be experiencing homelessness might be kids. It's like, oh my God, these poor people. This is, again, the classic narrative bang that you feel like we should go out on. You're singing Band-Aids Do They Know It's Christmas Time at All? Santana is doing Mariah Carey style runs talking about how no rivers flow in Africa. And then the episode continues for 10 more minutes. So the Finn and Rachel gift thing has to be resolved. Finn gets Rachel an African sow for a village so that they can eat, and she hates it, but then she grows to love it after going to the shelter and names it Barbara. He also gets her a star named Finn because there's already a star named Rachel so that she doesn't feel alone. And they decide to return all of the other expensive gifts they got for each other and donate it. Rory and Sam are ringing bells for the Salvation Army outside of a cinema that's playing It's a Wonderful Life. So Rachel and Finn go and donate their money there and ring bells with Salvation Army. And then the episode ends. Great. Cool. So let's grade an extraordinary Glee Christmas. Holiday feel? Great. 10 out of 10. We get kind of that black and white classic Christmas vibe. There's also just like lots of decorations in the different areas that they inhabit. It feels a lot more holiday-esque than the last episode. This feels like a holiday episode. Song choices, best selection of all the episodes. Extraordinary Merry Christmas, horrific. They will pay for their crimes, but River, Christmas rapping. All I want for Christmas is you. Do They Know It's Christmas Time at All? Offensive, but it is a banger. The Klain duet, it's a loss for me. It's a miss. I don't think Let It Snow shows off their vocals. I think also because it has no bearing on the plot. There's no like emotionality. It's also not like a love song. There's no part of it that feels charged to me, and I don't care about it. Camp factor, there's not a lot of camp. It doesn't feel too crazy. I mean, honestly, the scenes in the shelter are more camp than the black and white special section, which should not be true. An offensive factor, middling. Honestly, besides the representation, people experiencing homelessness being like noble, not too much offensiveness happening in this episode. And I know you might be saying like, it sounds offensive, but we're gonna get much worse. And the episode Grinch Award, of course, goes to Santana Lopez for doing those runs on Do They Know It's Christmas Time at All? That is a crazy choice to show off your range.
in a song about famine. Wouldn't be me, but love that for you.
Moving on to Glee, actually, the season 4 holiday/Christmas special. Here's the context you need to know so you're all caught up. Half the Glee club at this point has graduated. Remember how I mentioned they're gonna retcon Blaine's age? They have now. So Blaine is still in school, but Rachel and Kurt are living in New York, going to NYADA, the New York Academy for the Dramatic Arts, which doesn't exist, by the way. Crazy. Make it happen. Rachel got in they both auditioned in high school. This doesn't matter, but I need you to know. They both auditioned in high school. Rachel chokes, doesn't sing at all. Kurt sings I Am Not the Boy Next Door, kills it. Then Rachel invites Carmen Thibodeau, who's Whoopi Goldberg, to nationals. Question mark. She sings It's All Coming Back to Me Now, gets in. Kurt doesn't get in, but then Kurt kind of pulls a Rachel Berry and invites, I think, Carmen Thibodeau to a different time when he's singing. And he just got into NYADA as well, so he's going to attend next semester, okay? Santana is at university on a cheerleading scholarship. Quinn is at Yale, I believe. Finn is helping coach the Glee Club. Puck is in LA. Okay? There are new members of the Glee Club. So there's Kitty, who is a mean teenager, kind of a replacement Santana or Quinn. This actress is so good. She's really, really good. And I think she hosts a podcast now, which, hey, me too, girl. But she's fantastic. Ryder, who is a football player. He knows what he did. Jake is Puck's younger brother, half-brother. And he's kind of like a bad boy. He and Marley, who is they're kind of there to be shipped together to give the people who shipped Rachel and Puck some crumbs, because Marley is the Rachel insert, but she's not like Rachel at all, because Marley is like a good girl. She's sweet, she's indie. This character sucks. I'm so sorry. Anytime you have a character that has no flaws, it's just so boring. Like, she has no personality. It's not the actress's fault. I think she's fantastic, but this character is so boring. Things just happen to her. So Marley has an eating disorder. She has an eating disorder because Kitty was upset that Marley was cast as Sandy in the school's production of Grease. So Kitty would sneak in at night and sew Marley's costumes smaller. So Marley thought she was gaining weight, developed dysmorphia, and developed an eating disorder. So Marley fainted during the sectional's performance of Gangnam Style, and they lost. This show, it's gone off the rails. We've lost the plot in season 4. And we have Unique, who is a trans girl. She gets put through the fucking ringer on this show. They do not know what to do with her. They give her this horrific catfishing storyline that I wish I could claw my eyeballs out so I would never have to see it again. Unique is played by Alex Newell, Glee Project alumna, Tony Award winner. They are so fantastic. They are a star trapped in this poor role, because how the hell do you not know what to do with Alex Newell? Talent of a generation, whatever. So this special is a spoof on Love Actually. They have different storylines that intersect. This is what Sue says, like in the beginning as a narrator. I have beef with the idea that these storylines are intersecting, because basically what happens is at the end, they sing the same song, but they're not in the same place. They don't influence each other basically in any way, which is, and listen, I love Actually. Problematic fave. I love that movie. But the joy of that movie is like kind of the tight narrative. Is it offensive? Absolutely. On several different storylines. But there is something really joyful about seeing storylines actually influence the events in other storylines. That doesn't happen here, which is a waste. So storyline 1, Artie slips on the ice because the janitor forgets to ice the ramp. So he's got like a big cut on his face. Finn brings him to the nurse's office, and Artie is really mad about being in a wheelchair because he doesn't like to depend on people for help. Also, you have to imagine that just kind of like ableism makes that tough, right? So he says, I wish I was never in this stupid chair, before falling asleep at the nurse's office. Finn, he has a concussion. You need to wake him up, first of all. He hit his head on the ice and now he's falling asleep in the nurse's office. Wake him up. He's gonna die. Instead, he says, I wish I was never in this stupid chair. And he wakes up in a black and white kind of fugue dreamscape based on It's a Wonderful Life. I think you probably know what It's a Wonderful Life is about. If not, you should watch it. It's a fantastic movie. It's basically about a man who gets to see what the world would be like if he was never born, because he wishes he was never born. And then everyone's lives are worse. But instead of that, Artie gets to see what the world would be like if he was never in a wheelchair, if he never got in the car accident that caused him to be paralyzed. And Kevin McHale is able-bodied. It's just weird. I think he's a good guy. I'm in on the Glee podcast. I love the Glee podcast. I just think it's strange to be like, let's talk about the disabled experience. We can do it. We can do it. Let's do it. It's like, okay, maybe we should have a single person with this experience writing the episode. No, I guess not. So Rory is his guardian angel in this dreamscape where he was never in a car accident. Artie is a football player. I love this choice because it implies either you are in a wheelchair or you are a football player. Those are the two diverging storylines. Those are the two options for you. When it's like Artie is an artsy kid, like he likes film, and I guess this is trying to imply that like he wouldn't have those interests, but like there are people at this high school who are able-bodied and like aren't on the football team. Tina has a stutter again because Artie was never friends with her. Becky is the school slut because Artie never showed her respect, which is a rough throwaway kind of storyline. Rough. I hate it. Finn, who is a teacher in the regular universe, but I guess not in this one, he's a student, is bullying Kurt for being gay. Kurt never graduated, and I guess Finn didn't either, because the homophobic bullying was too much. When Kurt says this, Artie goes, "What did Blaine say about that?" And Kurt goes, "Who's Blaine?" And then dramatic music plays, like da da da. It's not that dramatic music, but it's dramatic music. Blaine exists, they just never met. Mr. Shu is a drunk because nobody joined the Glee club. Rachel is the school librarian who only auditions for parts in the chorus of community theater productions. And I got two things to say about this. First of all, that is not a fate worse than death. Like that is I feel like a unionized job. And she has hobbies. Kurt is the victim of homophobic bullying to the point in which he didn't graduate high school. Mr. Shu is an alcoholic. Like, Rachel has a job and gets to be in the chorus of community theater. That's fun. That's a fun life. But also, there's no way this happens. There's no way that Artie not being in Glee because he was not in a wheelchair affects Rachel at all. Maybe it makes her go to a less good school, but Rachel is Broadway track before she even meets Artie. You can't convince me. Ryan Murphy, nice try. And I'm not biting. So through this, Artie realizes that he was the glue that held Glee together, and he couldn't have joined Glee if he wasn't disabled, I guess. And that's the lesson. So Artie tries to get Glee back together by getting them all in the choir room, which is now Coach Sue's craft room. So he gets all the Glee kids together, and they're like, "What the f*** is this?" They're all New York now. And he sings Feliz Navidad in a poncho. He sings Feliz Navidad in a poncho with maracas. So remember before when I was like, oh, in this first holiday episode, all of the songs like make sense narratively, and later they don't. This is what I'm talking about. You're trying to get everyone together. You're trying to rouse the troops so that people's lives will be improved, and you pick Feliz Navidad? Are you crazy? This is the song you picked. There's 7 million other holiday themed songs that would narratively make more sense, but they just wanted to put Feliz Navidad on the album, so he sings this at them. And I'll say it, I feel like him wearing a poncho and shaking maracas is racist. I don't have proof, but it feels bad. So he sings Feliz Navidad with his maracas and a poncho, and afterwards the Glee Club is like, that did change nothing. Because obviously, I will say Kevin McHale is a great dancer, and he doesn't really get to dance on the show that much because his character is in a wheelchair. So it's nice to see him get to move a bit. That was very fun. That's a silver lining. Artie and Rory go into the hallway. They see this empty wheelchair with a single rose on it. Okay. And it's a memorial to Quinn. So Quinn gets in a car accident texting and driving in the regular timeline on the way to Finn and Rachel's wedding. And because of this, she's in a wheelchair for a bit, forms a friendship with Artie. He, along with this other character who's a Christian with dreadlocks, they like help her get hope. She has hope again, and then she learns to walk again through PT, right? Now, why would Quinn be in a wheelchair in this timeline? Like if Finn and Rachel weren't getting married because they're not together because of Glee, there's no Finchel wedding for her to go to, right? Like that's probably what you're asking. Like, well, the wedding doesn't exist in this timeline, so why would she be texting and driving to that wedding? You know what I mean? Like, if anything, this would probably be a positive wrinkle. You know, it's a great question, and Artie also asks this, and Rory goes, Quinn texts and drives in every timeline. Which, like, okay, convenient for the writers, sure. Why the does she text and drive in every timeline? In every timeline, she texts and drives. Okay. So she dies of a broken heart because nobody teaches her to walk again. I'm sorry. It sounds so offensive. I didn't write it. And Artie realizes that it's for the best that he's in the chair, sits down in the wheelchair, wakes up in the nurse's office with a greater acceptance of his situation. Okay, next storyline. So Kurt is spending Christmas in New York alone because he got into NYADA. He needs to save his money by not going home for Christmas. But Bert, his dad, visits him in New York and surprises him. I love this. Kurt and his dad's relationship is a really good, it adds really good heart to the show because their relationship is genuinely very sweet. It's also just nice to see like a queer storyline with representation of a parent not screaming at them and kicking them out. So they do Christmas stuff together, they get hot chocolate, they trim the tree, and then Bert sits Kurt down and tells him that he has prostate cancer. He says they caught it early and it should be fine. I hate this storyline so much. It's so sad. They exchange presents on Christmas Eve. Kurt gets Bert NYADA merch, and Bert's like, my present is too big. You have to go to this address. So Kurt goes to a skating rink. In my memory, it's Rockefeller Center, but it's not. It's not in reality, it's just a regular skating rink. I guess they couldn't get the rights, the Glee. Blaine is there, and that's Bert's surprise to Kurt. So they figure skate together. They're not together, they broke up because Kurt is in New York, right? Like, they're not together. But they sing their Klein duet. It's White Christmas, and they skate, and it's awesome. This is a great duet. They've modernized it a bit, but it still has those kind of like classical song elements. I'm in. I guess Blaine's parents don't care that he's not spending Christmas with them, okay? They all go back to Kurt's apartment and spend Christmas Eve together. Bert and Blaine watch basketball, and Kurt reads Vogue with them. Cute. Next storyline. Puck comes back to McKinley to do research for his screenplay. Specifically, he says, I'm here to scope out chicks for my screenplay. Jesus Christ. Him and Jake, his younger brother, he's Puck, decide to spend Christmas together in LA because they're half brothers, and they share a father who is absent, and they never really met each other because their mothers were so mad at each other. So they really want to like bond and be brothers. So they go to LA. They hang out on a studio lot that Puck goes to network. He says, and I quote, if you're a Jew or a gay in Hollywood, you basically have it made. Yikes. They sing Oh Hanukkah and run around the studio lot while actors who are in different costumes dance with them and security chases them. This is a fun song. It's visually really interesting, like all the different like characters and costumes dancing and stuff. It's fun. And they've got great voices. And it is also the only storyline we get in all four of these about Hanukkah. And it's barely about Hanukkah. They hang out afterwards at Puck's mansion, which is really a house of somebody whose pool he cleans. He's like actually posturing, and his life in LA is horrible. So they go back to Ohio to have Christmas dinner at Breadsticks with their moms, even though they're Jewish. Love it. And their moms hate each other, but then they slowly start to bond and kind of form this mixed family. Also, Puck and Jake get matching Star of David tattoos. Great. Storyline 4, Brittany and Sam think the Mayan apocalypse is coming, so they give away all of their worldly possessions and tell people what they actually think about them. Brittany says to Tina that acting is a pipe dream and your decision to pursue it is shocking, which is objectively funny. Sam, for Brittany, sings Jingle Bell Rock with the Cheerios. The Cheerios are all dressed up as sexy reindeer, and it's a fun number. He proposes to Brittany. Again, does this song make any sense in context of the song? Why would you sing Jingle Bell Rock to propose? I've got questions, but okay. They decide to get married because the world is ending because of the Mayan apocalypse. Their wedding is officiated by Coach Beast in the locker room, but then they wake up and the apocalypse didn't actually happen, and now they're married. So they go to Breadsticks on Christmas Eve and talk to Coach Beast, and Coach Beast is like, oh, I didn't actually officiate your wedding because I know that the apocalypse wasn't happening. I just didn't want you to ruin your lives. Great. Storyline 5, Sue gets Marley's mom, who is the school's lunch lady, in Faculty's Secret Santa. The family isn't celebrating Christmas this year because they need to save up to get Marley an eating disorder therapist, so they're not even getting a Christmas tree. So Marley's gift to her mom is to sing the first Noel, and Sue watches this from afar because it's happening in the lunchroom. It moves her because she's like, oh, I've become too materialistic. So Sue sells her endangered Christmas tree to a luxury toothpick salesman, uses the proceeds to give Marley and her mom a wonderful Christmas. She sneaks in the middle of the night, as Sue loves to do, gets them a Christmas tree and very expensive presents and lots of cash to pay for a therapist. Marley's mom figures out that Sue did this, goes and thanks her, and then says, like, Marley wants to say thank you. And Sue goes, does this involve the Glee Club singing in the auditorium while snow falls over an elaborate winter scene? And then they go to the auditorium and Sue goes, okay, yep, this is exactly what I just described. And while snow falls over an elaborate winter scene, the Glee Club sings Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. And all the characters sing Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Now here's my beef. This is my favorite Christmas song. I think it's great because it's so depressing. When Judy Garland sings it, it sounds like she is dying. It's like, oh, our lives are so shit, but maybe next year our lives won't be as shit and horrible as they are now. But they just sing it happy. They just sing this song happy, so it doesn't hit at all. Again, it's like big smiles. You would think they're smiling so much you'd think that they were about to sing Do They Know It's Christmas Time at All in a shelter. But no. So that's how it ends. Let's grade Glee actually. Holiday feel, relatively high. This feels very holiday-like. Maybe not as much as the last episode, but it feels like a holiday episode. I appreciate the ambition of the Love Actually storylines. Song choices, high highs, low lows. I think all the songs are good besides the destroyed Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, but it's very obvious these songs were picked to do a Christmas album, and then they had to like write them into the script. Klain duet, God tier. White Christmas is the best Klain duet. Change my mind, you won't. Camp factor is high. This episode has the highest camp factor because they think that this episode is good. Like, the writers think that the storyline where Artie gets It's a Wonderful Life and realizes he needs to be in a wheelchair, they think that that's like, whoa, that's crazy, which is true camp. Offensive factor is fairly high. There are insane fat jokes about Marley's mom, wild implications about disability and Artie's storyline, and also American TV plays a little fast and loose with Irish jokes, which I don't fuck with. They're like, it's funny because their country it's occupied, and because of that, they had famine and their voices funny. It's funny. It's a joke. I'm like, you guys don't know the cultural implications of this. You just want a joke. So I'm watching you, Ryan Murphy and Brad Falchuk. This episode Grinch Award goes to Quinn because she texts in every timeline. Girl, what the fuck? Don't text and drive. Okay. Now let's talk about the final Glee Christmas episode titled Previously Unaired Christmas in Season 5. So this is the last Glee holiday episode, and go out with a bang, not a whimper. Do not go softly into that great night. Rage against the light is the real thesis, the real philosophy here. So this episode opens with Jane Lynch, like talking as Jane Lynch, not Sue. And she's saying that this episode was previously unaired because Fox executives deemed it too inappropriate. So while it's happening in season 5, it was supposed to be season 4's Christmas special, and they had to write a new one because it was too offensive. I feel like I usually have a really good gauge for like sarcasm and jokes. Like, I think I'm usually pretty good at getting when something is a joke. And I had to Google if this was true or not. Like, I really feel like a lot of people who watched this probably just thought that was true, you know? But really they did this so that they could write an out of canon, really offensive Christmas episode, okay? And it's written by Roberto Aguirre Sacasa, who created Riverdale. I can't escape that show. I never will. And that plays here because I really do think Glee versus Riverdale, Glee's a better show, mama. Like, it just is. Like, there are real moments of light. I love the chaos of Riverdale, but it does have a problem of, like, there is no narrative tension because anything can happen and nothing has any bearing on the plot. So, like, honestly, he would write a Glee episode whose full purpose is to be offensive and out of the canon. So McKinley is going green for Christmas this year, and their annual Christmas tree decorating contest goes to the most environmentally friendly tree. Okay? Tina wants to win because the prize is this magic angel that grants like luck and wishes to those who it has, and she wants a boyfriend. Jenna Ushwitz in the trenches in this episode. Girl is fighting for her life to make this storyline make sense. The angel is not like canonically magic. Like, that doesn't have any bearing on the plot. I feel like I have to say this because now Riverdale has entered the fray. It's just a random reason for her to want to win the tree contest so badly. So Sue is judging the competition, wants to flunk the Glee Club. There's a funny offhand joke where she's like, this is our most valued tradition, even though we haven't done it for the last 3 years, because they haven't even mentioned a Christmas tree decorating contest in the last episode. I like that. So they decorate the Christmas tree. They sing Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree. Okay. I see what you did there. The nativity scene is vandalized with swastikas. So the Glee Club decides to do a live nativity scene and all the girls want to play Virgin Mary. So they have Virgin Mary auditions. They decide to audition together because of feminism. So Marley, Unique, and Tina sing Mary's Boy Child, which I had not heard as a song before. Kitty wants to be Mary and Marley offers to have her audition with them and she says no. When she's later questioned on this, because Marley's like, why do you care so much who's Mary if you don't want to be Mary? She says it's because she's Christian and she respects Mary too much and knows that she doesn't have the spirit of the Virgin Mary. Okay. The tone of this is insane, by the way. Like, I need you to understand that the characters are acting like they are on drugs for no reason. So Marley gets cast as the Virgin Mary because of course. Then we go to New York where Santana is visiting Rachel and Kurt for Christmas, and Rachel gets them all jobs as Santa's elves in a mall that apparently Broadway stars frequent so they can network. They do a thing I hate that Roberto does a lot in Riverdale. Women characters are in really slutty, tiny outfits. And they have the characters be like, I don't care that this is slutty. I'm empowered. This is awesome. But like, it doesn't hit because it's written by a man and the actresses don't have a choice in the costuming. They just have to wear whatever they're told to wear for their job. Like, there's a difference between like Sabrina Carpenter, who's in control of the visual language of her brand and choosing to wear little skirts and stuff. There's a difference between that and an actress showing up on set and being told she's going to wear something and she has to because of her job and she doesn't get to choose. It's trying to have cake and eat it too, where it's like they can't just have the characters in really objectifying outfits because they know that people would just say that's objectification. So they're like, no, the characters like it, so it's fine. So we can objectify them because the characters like it. So they're in little slutty elf costumes. Santana's especially is really slutty and tiny. And the mall Santa shows up drunk, and this is the elves' problem for some reason. The gang sings Here Comes Santa Claus to distract the kids, but the children riot anyway. So Santana comes out dressed as Mrs. Claus, and it's like a joke machine of the most offensive things I've seen on TV, which is really saying something. Like, it'll cut to different little jokes of different kids on her lap, and she's giving them advice or like telling them about the presents they should have. One of the kids wants like a Leapfrog learning tablet and she goes, why don't we get you an iPad? You can't get porn on whatever that is. Like, crazy shit. Naya Rivera is so funny. Like, her comedic timing is so good. Like, she really is star. Again, for whatever reason, the fact that the Santa at the mall is drunk is the elves' problem, and they're worried about getting fired and blackballed from the entertainment industry if they can't find a Santa. But then this sexy mall Santa shows up, who's played by Darren Wilden from Pretty Little Liars. And he's like, oh, I can help you. Can we get dinner tonight though, just so I can help you? And they invite him over for dinner. So they eat and they're all attracted to him because he's hot. He requests that they all sing the Chipmunk song while huffing helium that he brought. So they all sing the Chipmunk song in high pitched. And Kurt is like gyrating an inch above his like dick while being Alvin in the Chipmunks with his voice. Like, this broke me. Full disclosure, when watching this, like, my brain broke in half. This was the part where I was like, I actually feel insane. They all get drunk and do insane drunk acting, and then Santana and Rachel pass out, and Kurt and the sexy Santa try and hook up, but then the Santa ties him up and robs them. Back to the living nativity, the Glee Club wants Kitty to be nicer, so that they decide to trick her into accepting the role of Mary, so she's nicer to herself, and they trick her into doing this by doing a performance so offensive she has no choice but to accept the role. So Unique as Mary sings Love Child about baby Jesus. Alex Newell is star. Like, their performance is so good. It is offensive and fun. Like, I get it. Again, this episode like makes me wish I could Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind erase my memories, but Alex Newell is so good. Kitty accepts the role. They do the live nativity. Becky is feeling depressed because she lost the Christmas tree competition. So Tina gives Becky the magic angel and then asks Becky to be the baby Jesus in their nativity. Kurt, Rachel, and Santana get new jobs as singing mannequins in like a Macy's window situation, and they all sing Away in a Manger. And Away in a Manger totally makes sense for the live nativity. I'm there. But it doesn't really make sense for the Macy's window, and also you're behind fucking window, like you're behind glass. They can't hear you sing. So what's the plan? So let's grade this. Holiday feel. It's okay. It feels pretty Christmassy. Like we have characters in Santa costumes and elf costumes and dressed as Jesus, so pretty good. I also like the idea of an unaired Christmas special, but I think taking things out of the canon, again, makes it really hard for me to care about them. There's no narrative weight. But the holiday episode feel of it all is okay. It's there. I don't hate it. Song choices for this episode are horrible. Horrible. The Chipmunks song Will Haunt Me, and the song is, I wonder if they knew they weren't maybe releasing an album, so they didn't really care, but the songs are really bad. Like, the song choices are really bad. Rockin' Around a Christmas Tree is good. I mean, Love Child is a great number, but I don't think it's not Christmassy. Like, bad all around. And there's no Klain duet. Missing in action. Girl, what happened here? What can we do to redeem this? What can we do? Camp factor is horrible because it's trying to be camp, which is not camp. It's not like the last episode. This episode thinks it's bad. Do you know what I mean? And that's why it's funny, which is not really fun to watch. Offensive factor is crazy. I don't know why you're proud of this. The whole point of this episode is that it's offensive. Wild shit is said, like Santana stops a child from getting on her lap when she's Mrs. Claus because that child is Jewish. Like, wild stuff. Like, that's not even like funny. Like, it's not even like an offensive joke that you're like, you kind of laugh and then you're like, ha ha ha, I shouldn't do that though. That's not okay. Like, it's not even funny. How are you going to be offensive and not even be funny? The episode Grinch Award, of course, goes to the creator of Riverdale himself, Roberto Aguirre Sacasa. Horrible episode. That's all the Glee holiday episodes. I have to say, surprisingly, after I really wrote my thoughts down, my favorite one, like narratively, I think the second one is the best as like an actual Christmas episode. But I have to respect Glee actually for the effort, the attempt to intertwine storylines and do It's a Wonderful Life. But only a couple of them were unwatchable, so that's good. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. You can like the video or subscribe or whatever, but I don't care what you do. You live your life. Live your life, mama. I'll see you soon. Bye.